Well, we can chat for a little while, and if Lonwabo doesn't make it, we can either adjourn or we can have a conversation about exercise. So, in fact, we can do that while we're waiting. So Rick, what do you do? What do you do for exercise, and how has that
I just got back from the
evolved and
gym.
adapted?
Who did you just wave off?
My husband, he was like going off into the office.
He can show up in the background. I've got my little doggy right
No,
here.
he often
You know,
does, and I'm like, go away.
no, I just got back from the gym and I took advantage of a personal trainer that was an offer, usually
Hmm.
too expensive for me, but I've been able to focus on a lot of the muscles in disuse.
Hmm.
So that's what I focus on a lot. So that's very productive.
Yeah. So what's an example of like a muscle that you realized you were disusing that could still be kind of brought back with
Well,
daily
uh,
exercise?
right towards the beginning of recognizing and being diagnosed with FSH, where I used to be able to run without any problem, I would run and then fall down. It wouldn't hurt, but my hip and leg muscles were not holding me in place, and I would jump down from a height
Hmm.
which never used to be a problem, but I would just collapse on the ground. I'm a big surprise. So one of the first machines that I discovered was it's the adductor and abductor for the legs. So you sit down and you can spread the weights apart or you can bring them in towards the center. And
Hmm.
that helped a tremendous amount with my ability to walk or hop run.
Oh.
So that is one machine that is very popular for a lot of different reasons, but that is a great one for me. And another one is one that you do chin-ups, but you can displace the amount of weight. So instead of lifting up my 155 pounds, I can lift up as if I only weighed 30 pounds. So I can do chin-ups, which is exercising all of my back and arm muscles, which wouldn't get any exercise if I didn't have that ability to displace the amount. And the personal trainer, understanding what I'm going through, has offered a lot of variations on how I can help with those muscles in disuse, and that helps with the ability to walk and be more stable, but
Hmm.
building those muscles that were very much in disuse.
Huh, that's so interesting. I'm speculating because I'm not, for the years I've been here, I still am not like an expert on muscle physiology because there's too many muscles. There are a lot of them there, and they all like it's a complicated system. But I did um, one thing that these MRI studies, so people the medical textbooks used to say like it affects your lower leg, like the leg in the front of your shin, the tibialis anterior, so that would cause foot drop, but that they ignored anything that was happening in the upper leg. They said that wasn't affected. And then when people started doing these MRI imaging studies, they discovered that the hamstring, I think, is one of the first muscles affected in almost everybody. And you just don't really notice it normally because there's so many, like there's three other, huge muscles around it that are still healthy. So, you're losing one part of this pillar of muscles. Um, and it made me think, well, maybe you don't notice it except when you do certain things where maybe, and that sounds like a case where like you suddenly like you jump and you can't support yourself when you land or, and that we were reliant on this muscle to a greater extent than we realized. But there's still all these other muscles around that, as you said, as you experienced when you did the right kind of exercises, it strengthened them so it could compensate for the loss of strength in that, probably the hamstring or whatever. So um, I think that's really, I think that's really interesting, and I think that's such an important thing for people to become aware of that you know, because you experienced like what seemed like a global loss of function. Your leg was not strong enough all of a sudden, but it really was a very specific component that had weakened, that if you understood that, then you could target exercises to shore up everything else.
I
And a
I
lot of
just
people, if they're discouraged because they think I'm weak and I can't do that exercise anymore or I can't walk anymore. And um, so that's a really, I mean, that's a terrific example there.
Go
I
ahead,
just
Jim.
I decided to identify myself.
Hi, Jim.
I uh I found so I was diagnosed probably officially diagnosed about 7 years ago. Uh I had a father and an uncle who had FSHD and experienced the loss of mobility and at about starting in the late 50s into 60s. And I was starting to see the same things. I'm 74 now, so probably 10 years ago, I started working on machines like you were talking about. And I found that I I got no benefit from the leg, specifically the leg machines that you were talking about. I could not. I did it regularly, about three to four times a week, and for about 2 years, hoping to be able to, build up, move up, like add a little weight, and I was never able to add. I was able to keep doing it at the level that I could, but I was never able to improve. So I've done away with machines and my exercises. I try to walk every day, a couple times a day maybe. I I I use walking sticks, so I'm still mobile, and I stretch. I stretch every morning before I walk, and then I go through another series of exercises, stretching again after the walk, and using hand weights and just going through a lot of different motions, just trying to maintain flexibility, I think. Uh, I have a right shoulder who has a little pain in it, and it probably has a rotator cuff issue that's not horrible, but it kind of prevents some of the weight issues. So I get on the floor, on my back on the floor, and make sure and raise the arm over my head with the floor supporting it. So I'm getting the full motion without putting any more stress or strain on that specific, muscle in that area.
Right.
And then the other thing, I'm still golfing. I managed to last last year I played 58 rounds of golf,
Wow.
which is the most I've ever done in a year. And I still, with the stretching and the rotating my body, just going through those motions, I'm able to function.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's really great. And I think that's when you say you exercise lying flat, I think what it does is it compresses, it holds your shoulder blades in place. So then they don't get they don't wing and then that blocks your range of motion. So that's a really good
exactly,
idea for
exactly.
exercising those.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
find when you go through the airport screener where you have to put your arms over your head,
Yeah.
I can't. I can creep my hand up to the top of my head maybe, but I can't, yeah.
I have found those controls at different countries don't require it above your head, but more to the side. And that was good. I think it was Japan and Mexico didn't require it to be above your head, but it seems like all the United States controls require it above your head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's
And
funny you mentioned that. So when I go through that scanner, because we can raise our hands above and my shoulder is bent, I get dinged. The system shows as abnormality around the shoulders. So it takes me to secondary screening because of that, and then they pat it down and they're like, oh, your shoulder looks just fine. But
yeah,
anytime I go through, it takes me to secondary screening.
I almost always get scanned, the secondary scan.
Mm. How's your golf swing? Just curious, because the upper arms may be impacted a lot. Do you notice any kind of depreciation as you swing more in your golf? When you're doing the round.
No, I don't. It doesn't seem to affect me. I'm not a great golfer, and I don't hit it very far, but being able to just rotate at the waist, rotate my shoulders, and kind of a shallow backswing.
Mm. Do you do that because of you can, or you just that's the style you've been used to?
It's the style I've been used to, trying to make sure I get the club back to the ball instead of trying to kill it, just try to let the tool do the job.
That's a good idea. Let the tool do the job is a good principle.
Yeah.
Mm.
And not always that's great. Would anyone else like to share an exercise story, something that worked for you or didn't work for you that
Nobody's
we're
offering.
waiting.
I'll
Don't
bet
be
some
shy.
of you can offer.
Or if you have a question, a general question, or
Yeah, open forum.
it's an open forum. Yes.
I have, it's an observation and also a question. When I saw my FSHD neuromuscular specialist in Rochester, New York, I go once a year. It's about a 200-mile drive. He wrote a prescription for physical therapy for me. And so I went to physical therapy twice a week. It was very helpful. I was fortunate in that I had a little brochure from the FSHD Society about physical therapy for people with FSHD, and the therapist read it, okay, and really asked me questions and so forth. Well, my insurance company had only authorized that for X number of weeks or X number of visits. And at the same time, I had some other issues with arthritis under my kneecap and then something with my ankle. So I kept getting prescriptions from different practitioners, different physicians. And then I went back to, I said, I still need some help. And my neuromuscular specialist wrote another prescription, and the insurance company didn't want to approve it. They said, not met, our physician reviewed this and determined that this is not medically necessary and you should find an alternative treatment. I thought, what, would a wheelchair be an alternative treatment? What's, obviously, and I'm not trying to, I am trying to criticize this doctor. you know, my own PCP had no idea what FSHD was, and my brother, who has, like all of us kids, FSHD. Well, we're not kids anymore, but and he let her know what blood test she should order and what the range might mean, and then fortunately it was connected to June, and the story unwound from there. But I'm wondering if anyone else, because the last time, so finally my neuromuscular specialist wrote a very detailed set of instructions for what kind of physical therapy he thought I would benefit from. And so the insurance did approve it for like 8 more sessions, and then it was done. And that I don't know if you all are familiar with physical therapy. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but my physical therapist said at the end, he measured it. He said, "Ann, there's really not significant improvement being shown. So I doubt your insurance company is going to extend this." And I said, well, you know, because of your conversations with me, that I don't expect to go back to 100% what I was before, but not losing more movement and more muscle is a goal. I said, maintenance is really good in my case. And he said, I get it, but your insurance company doesn't. And have you had any issues with insurance companies not approving an intervention for your health?
How much time you got?
Isn't that their business model to turn
Yeah.
down as many things as they can? But
Well, I guess I have with Silver Sneakers,
Mhm.
you should be able to get a membership in a
Yeah.
YMCA or a local health club and replicate. You just need to learn from your therapy sessions what to do, and then repeat that in another facility without you won't have the coach necessarily. You might be able to get a coach at those facilities too,
Mhm.
but you know, just by talking to people that are there may take an interest and help you if you need, you know, if you needed a hand. But I would think you could replicate a lot of the same exercise or the same, you know, techniques in a setting like that, which is that's what I was doing when I was talking about, you know, using the machine for a couple of years. I kind of was replicating what I had seen at physical therapy.
Yeah, that is a good suggestion. And I need to go to my local Y and, you know, I can get a Silver Sneakers membership and just, I'm going to look at the machines they have because there are specific machines that work or seem to for me. Thank you.
Yep.
Those that aren't aware, Silver Sneakers, that's Medicare.
Yeah.
So you have to be older than 65, and they offer you Silver Sneakers lets you go to a local gym to get have a free membership, and one of the more common ones is the YMCA. So, but physical therapists have been fantastic for helping develop whatever we've got going on. And my first one was up there that helped the most was up there in Rochester with under Dr. Twill. She was the one that recommended the double compression belts. So they've been key in trying to deal with best with our disability. So I do like physical therapists.
yeah, so it is very typical for physical therapists to give you like something to take home, and that you're supposed to be doing them at home and not just during your physical therapy sessions. So that's certainly a very good point. But sometimes you need the physical therapist to provide, you know, physical support or make sure you're safe, or, you know, or they have specialized equipment. So that's where, you know, just doing it at home may not be an adequate solution. So Medicare um, does cover and is supposed to cover maintenance physical therapy. So they do now recognize that a lot of people, not just with FSHD, but that the FSHD is the physical therapy, that maintenance is a valuable health goal that they should cover, that you're not going to get weaker, get worse. And in the past, private insurance has tended to follow Medicare's lead on this, on what is reimbursed. But that may not be the case so much. And it also, it might depend from one company to another, but you can, you can always try to appeal a claim. And people sometimes say I mean, it's a pain, right? Who wants to spend their time doing that? But we have, and it might, they're kind of hoping you'll just give up and go away, right? But if you don't give up and don't go away, they may relent. It might take a couple letters. On our website, we do have a template, a model letter you can use to explain why the physical therapy is medically necessary and that maintenance therapy is what's the goal for, in FSHD and similar conditions. So I could try to find the link for that, but that's another option too.
Something that I had physiotherapy covered as a result of vehicle accident insurance claim, and that was covered for quite a while. But once that claim was done, I had to fall back just on our extended health, and I'm up in Canada, so our medical care is covered. Physiotherapy varies from province to province what's covered, and our extended health covers $500 for a year and that covers all kinds of things like occupational therapy, physiotherapy. I'm trying to think, foot care. There's a whole counseling. $500 you can go through pretty quick. But anyhow, the physiotherapist I had, she was a neuromuscular physiotherapist and she was young, but I was her first FSHD patient, but she was terrific. She researched and she was really, really good. So I did go back to her occasionally. But then she announced that she was leaving that clinic and she was joining up with a new physiotherapy business, and it was a mobile one where they go to people instead of people going to them at a clinic. They will go to their homes. And so I did one session a year and a bit ago with her at home with some very specific, I had some very specific concerns and questions. So, but she and this group of therapists will meet with people in a park, at a rec center, at a gym, and work with them there. So I don't know whether there'd be any that options available for you, Anne, but that might be something to check if I know there's a second group in our area of therapists now that are providing that kind of service, and it's great for people that come out of hospital and need rehab, but they takes a lot of energy for them to get to a clinic somewhere, and it's time saving, and plus the therapist can see what your home environment's like or what options you've got in the neighborhood, and they gear the exercise and the therapy accordingly.
That's wonderful.
I've had something, I'm still sort of teasing this out because I had surgery in December for a growth on my parathyroid. And it took them a little while to, well, it was a long story getting it diagnosed. But anyhow, um, part of the reason it took a while to get diagnosed was that some of the symptoms of um, parathyroid hormone being high were some same symptoms as you experience in FSHD, like muscle weakness, muscle and bone pain, muscle fatigue. Yeah. Oh, I know what else. Your walking gait, your GAIT, um, becomes less steady. You're more prone to falls. And I started falling, and I just put this down to FSHD progression, So, and I was finding it harder, like if I was in the kitchen and preparing anything, within a few minutes, my upper thighs and were really weak and started aching and painful. And I thought, oh, this is the FSHD. I'm really going downhill quickly. So after the surgery, much to my, um, I was really pleased that fatigue and stuff was greatly improved. It was much better. Um, and so I'm sort of still learning because that was in December. So it's just sort of 3 months and a little bit. I'm still sort of figuring out what my new normal is. Another thing that happened as a result, well, because of the surgery, they have to sort of put your head right back to do the surgery to get in right here at the base of the neck. And because I've had whiplash twice from two different accidents, which both of them were the other driver's fault. But the first accident, my cervical 5 and 6 were extremely, extremely tender, and my left shoulder's always been more of a problem. Like if I sleep the wrong way on that shoulder, I feel it. So the night after the surgery, when I was still in hospital, that was just really aggravated. I really, really felt it. And I thought, oh, I could barely move. I thought this is going to be, recovering from this is going to be tough. But the surgeon, when she came in the morning, she said, you know what, you can sleep on your other side. You don't, just make sure your neck is supported by pillows. And so that was good. But I'm getting I'm getting some burning and when I get that, it's sort of down my neck and my spine, but the burning's in my neck and shoulder. And I think it's from the position I was in, and it's aggravated that accident injury. So I've got to sort that out a little bit. But overall, my stamina and my energy and my, fatigue levels have really improved. So as a result of the surgery. So, yeah, trying to figure out, I'm doing some exercises, but I probably need to get a session with that physiotherapist again.
This is at this point, because we don't have the leader for the feeling of the fitness, it's just an open forum. So it's a chance to bring up any questions or issues that you might have. But I might reserve it for when June returns. She just said she had to step out for a minute, but she's the great one.
I'm back. What am I, what?
Well, Helen told us some of her experience, and then I just said, while it's an open forum, it'll be better for anybody that had a burning question that you were present, and then you
Okay.
showed up like magic.
Okay. Oh, right.
So,
Just right on cue.
yeah.
But no, I mean, you all are experts in your own ways with what your lived experience. So, and I think it's really important to share that with people. You have a lot to teach the others in the community. So don't be shy.
Well,
That's
I guess Lance just asked a question in the chat, or was it Noah? I'm sorry, Noah.
Noah.
Noah did. So you can answer that one, June, if you like.
oh, about the Fortitude trial.
Yeah.
Yes, we heard that um, I think they've applied for, and I'm not sure if I think they received, I don't quote me on this, but they applied for what's called a registration trial. This is the trial that would produce the data that they would go to the FDA for approval of the drug. So that's well underway, and I understand they're going to start recruiting for that shortly if they haven't already. So, and
For the next cohort.
for the next cohort, and this is the one the critical trial that's going to, if it goes well and the data are strong, will be brought before the FDA. So, so they're, I know from the outside it looks like a glacial pace, but you see these people in the companies and everything they have to do, they're working like crazy, 24/7. So
Well, I would ask it's not Epic Bio anymore. It's got another name.
Epic
And also
CRISPR.
the Kate, they're similar approaches to the treatment. Are either of those on the cusp of opening the clinical trial or?
Yes, Epi CRISPR announced, I think yesterday,
Yeah.
that they got an approval. They're going to do their first, so the very first trial is a safety trial, I think in healthy individuals, maybe a few patients. These are small, but just they want to make sure that because it is a kind of gene therapy, they want to make sure that it isn't going to have toxic effects and all those sorts of things. So they're going to do it in New Zealand. And I think partly because I think it's a little bit easier to get get these types of studies done in New Zealand. There's maybe a little bit less bureaucracy
Hmm.
and
Oh,
so and fortunately New Zealand actually has a neuromuscular center and they do have a registry with maybe around 100 patients or it's not a big robust community, but they have been doing that, so they're able to recruit people pretty
that's
following.
interesting, June, because years ago, I wrote to the muscular dystrophy down there to see if there was any way I could find out if we'd got extended family down there, because there's one family photo of my great grandfather with his siblings and his father, and it's a very clear photo. But three of his sisters immigrated to New Zealand in the early 1900s.
Wow. Huh.
And and I'm looking at this picture, and you know how they sort of tended to pose very seriously looking and stuff. But
No
I
smiles.
thought, yeah, but two of them sort of, I thought, do they have FSHD? Because we think it came down through that great grandfather and um yeah, so and I just sort of wondered, and I never did hear back. So, it was beginning days probably when FSHD. So when I read that yesterday about, it was the trial was going to be in New Zealand. I thought, oh, I should get in contact again and see, because my grandmother was she kept in touch for a while with them, but of course, when she died, nobody,
Mhm.
kept their addresses, and I don't know what their married names, if they got married, would have been. And I'm thinking they probably did get married, and yeah, so it would be just interesting to find out.
Very interesting indeed.
Yeah. And New Zealand doesn't have a large population, so that's really something that they've got that much interest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so often it's all it takes is one clinician, one doctor, researcher who says, well, I'm going to focus on neuromuscular disease. And that's what Robbie Tawil did in Rochester. And we're very fortunate to have these, but it is interesting when I work with advocacy groups around the world, often starting with one person with FSHD who says, there's nothing going on in my country. What can I do? And so I say, well, find a clinician who wants to work with you and who will, you know, and is in an institution that has the ability to maybe support a clinical trial. You just kind of plant the seeds, be very strategic, and that can make all the difference. It's very exciting. I mean, Brazil now is a clinical trial research network member because it started with one parent who had a child with FSHD, and I kind of gave him a playbook, like this is what you need to do. And I was like, getting something going in Brazil felt like such a long shot. And in 5 years, he created a registry, created a system for people to get genetic testing, which they did in Brazil. Found a researcher who was trained at a top neuromuscular lab in the US and went back to Sao Paulo. So she's now the director of the clinical research network there, and they're now a member of they're participating in the MOVE study, which is the big natural history study. It's so important because we need more diverse populations to be part of the natural history study. So now we're going to have several hundred Brazilian patients as part of the MOVE study. I mean, it's an amazing thing that one person can do if you so just
Look at the
felt that
chat,
there.
June. There's Vaitheshwaran
Oh,
would like to
hi.
introduce himself.
Hello.
And I don't know if Rakesh is from India also. I don't know. But if you unmute Vaitheshwaran. Oh, there we see you. Oh, there, good. So please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone,
Hello.
I'm Vaithisaran here from India. This is my first meeting I attend in FSHD Society. I am 26 years old. I come to know about this muscular dystrophy in 13 years. In my 13 years, first we could identify the muscle biopsy test. Then only I identified it is a facioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy. Then the doctor said there is no medicine for this disease. Only physiotherapy and exercise only. Then I continue my studies, and I now completed a bachelor's degree in commerce. Now I'm working in post office department, assistant branch postmaster. Recently, I come to know about this FSC society. So this is my first meeting. Then only I introduce myself.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. It's
Nice
really
to meet
nice to meet you and welcome. This is
Thank
one
you.
of many groups that the FSHD Society hosts on Zoom. And do you know we have FSHD India? Do you know that organization? It's started by Manav Goel in New Delhi.
No, ma'am. I'm not knowing about that.
Oh, well, please give me your email address. You can, here, I'll put my email address in the chat. I would
Sorry,
love to connect you.
Also, just during the thing, thanks, Lance, for putting up the link to the EpiCRISPR trial. I appreciate that.
Okay, I see your email address. Let's see. How do I?
ಇದು mail ಬಂದದ್ದು. Mail ಬಂದ. Wait, my sister wants to talk.
Okay.
Um,
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. I'm Maitli. He's my elder brother, actually. And we just reached out to FHSD Society, and I used FHSD Navigator mail ID to reach out to you to just ask some recommendations, like how to reach out to the physician, like they can help us to guide and also make things work out like others. So, but actually, it would be good if we get to know any such person who have some knowledge about this FHST, so that we can have a one-on-one with them. So it would be very helpful if we get to know that.
Okay. We are still building up our, the clinician resources in India. I know Manav Goel is working on that. There is a researcher in Delhi who is studying the genetics, doing the blood testing. But I think he's also I think he sees patients. And so I will connect with you. I will send you an email so we can start, start a conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
What part of India are you in?
South
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Test பத்தி கேக்குறேன்.
And actually, we just had a test at the age of 13, and we just found it's a FSHD, and but we didn't go any further test where to distinguish whether it is type 1 or type 2. We didn't go further because doctors recommended, as anyway as there is no medicine for it, then what is the point of doing that, they questioned. So we didn't go further. So yeah, that's what. And we have just reached out to the hospitals near our area, like Jipmer, Pondicherry, and in Bangalore city as well. But everywhere they just tell the same thing. So it's at the end we have to come to a conclusion saying that physiotherapy is the only one we have to do to make our muscles strength. And yeah, and that's what we are just doing as well.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that because physiotherapy is effective. It's helpful, and certainly better that you're doing than not doing it. So we had a speaker about a year ago who lives in the United States. He is from India originally, and
Okay.
he was very interested. He found an Ayurvedic doctor who he said
Oh,
was helpful. He goes to India to spend time. Again, it's not a simple process. I think Ayurvedic medicine is a very holistic everything, your diet, your mental, your mind, along with some traditional medicines that, he wasn't sure what they were, but he felt that this doctor had actually been very helpful, and he was seeing,
Oh,
so
okay.
I can also connect you with that. But
Yeah, sure. We would really need that. And the other one is like, as you know, it's really rare, and we could not find another guy who's exactly facing the same. So that it's a kind of situation like seeking help.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Something else that would probably be helpful too is to look up on the FSHD Society webpage. If you look up FSHD YouTube, there's a lot of different group meetings and conference meetings and that were recorded, and and you can watch the videos of them, and you might be able to find some that have some practical help and practical information to answer some questions you have.
Sure,
The
sure.
one
We'll
goes
go through
here
them.
an hour
And
late.
you can also do on the search, you
Okay.
can put in a certain topic that you're interested. You've got questions about on the search on the FSHD Society, and oftentimes there's articles and things that come up that are really helpful. And a lot of people don't think of using the search because I don't know if it's at the top or the bottom, but it's if you've got questions about exercise or questions about foot drop or questions about shoes or questions about nutrition and things like that, you can put something in, and there's a lot of information there.
Okay, okay, sure. We'll go through them. Thanks for letting
You're
us know.
welcome.
Nice to meet both of you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one last thing, I think it's really important, because what Manav wants to do is find people in India with FSHD and create a community. So just like we have created community here in the US, Canada, Europe, it's really important. First, it's nice to know you're not alone, but I find this community, the FSHD community everywhere in the world, is such smart, resourceful, creative people who are coming up with finding solutions to overcome, help with their challenges wherever they are. And I'm sure it would be the same community in India if you just can all connect together and share the collective knowledge, and we call them tips and tricks to help manage your life. So I will send you information about Manav and FSHD India. Um, the power of community is really amazing if you can get it going. You have to
Okay.
overcome, you have to believe that every person can make a difference. If
Yeah.
So, yeah. Lonwabo, hello, you're here. I was worried maybe we have a time zone issue because in the US we have the daylight savings time. So you might not be on the same time anyway, so we've
Am I
been here.
late? Am I late today?
Yes. Or
Oh
maybe
my goodness.
early. We
Oh
were
no, because the reason why I say that is because because I even have an alarm here for 7 p.m. Oh yeah, it's the time zones. Yeah, I mean I was really rushing everything, thinking, okay, 7 o'clock I'm gonna make it. Oh wow. I am profusely sorry. I really, really am because I think maybe I got my times messed up.
well, it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
If
I am completely
Well, we
sorry
are
to
all
everybody.
here. If people have time and want to stay on for your exercises,
how much time do we have for the exercise? Because I don't want to keep anybody waiting. Honestly, I'm so sorry for that. I think my time zones were a bit off today, but if we do have time, how much time do we have by any chance? Because I do have a workbook that I was going to send out to the first ones I did a few years back. So I've kind of modified it to kind of to go with what I'm trying to do here with kind of creating this fitness regimen, rehabilitation regimen. It's just exercises that I would like people to try, particularly within the FSH community. So it's got even tips from other individuals living with neuromuscular issues as well. So yeah, or I can just send that through, and then maybe next time.
Well, I'm of the seize the day carpe diem school. We are here. I mean, some people may have another meeting they have to get to. I am, by luck, I don't have anything else. I'm willing to keep this open and we can go ahead and have the session if people want to do
All
that.
right.
Sure.
I'll just,
All right. Yeah. I mean,
I'm
now
just
we
going to
are
go off
living.
camera for a second because I have to get
Sure.
lunch.
No problem. Guess I'm gonna speak. I already saw a few members here chatting. If I'm not mistaken, I saw in India. That is pretty great to kind of see the amount of reach that we have. Yeah, it's always amazing. But without any further ado, I'd really like to kind of get into today's session, feeling fit session. If you did join me on my feeding fit session last time I was here, I kind of read through my agenda for the meeting because I realized how difficult it is to create a fitness regimen for folks living with FSHD. It's pretty difficult because the level and scale of severities, it's on a very wide spectrum. So with that being said, the exercises that I've done today are grouped up and categorized into early diagnosis or early detection from our point of view, not necessarily from a diagnosis point of view, because a lot of us, I'm sure, who are listening as well, who are watching this, we notice changes within our bodies way before the diagnosis actually came. Just like me, grew up very active, and then I just noticed that my performance was not really good. Only then, doing certain types of tests with the doctor, did I actually notice that I've got a winged scapula, and then all the other issues kind of labeled themselves down. So we notice these changes way before an actual diagnosis. Some members even probably go on 10, 12 years without with maybe misdiagnoses, but they've really shifted their focus. They've really shifted their perception of how they can keep active and keep on feeling fit. So essentially, that's what it's about. It's integrating not just exercise, but also changing the perception of how we view exercise throughout these various levels of FSHD. So within early diagnosis and early detection from our point of view, to how we can alleviate certain issues and address some of the needs that we need, needs that we have to have addressed. So such as lower back pain is a big issue, hyperlordosis as well, or sway back. We're also dealing with those using mobility devices. So mobility devices can go from mobility scooters to wheelchairs, all the way to walkers, maybe even maybe devices to help you pick up, such as a picker as well, or a leg lifter to help you to get on the bed. So these are all in my workbook that I will send to June after this, so that it can be sent out to the FSHD community as well. Again, I would like to apologize for my tardiness. It was a time zone issue, but thank you so much for staying on as well. And I will try to keep that in mind, maybe do this in like a 30-minute session as well. Hi, Daniel. The workbook I will be giving to June after this, after my session, so that you can also see some of the exercises that I put down. I really had to cut them down because I didn't want it to be more than 20 pages. It became like 22, but the exercises themselves, I think they are only on about 8 to 10 pages. The initial pages are about my journey They're going to read more about the issues that I faced and how my biokineticist kind of addressed that. And then we'll start with the exercises as well. So going on to the actual presentation itself, suggestions and recommendations from the muscular dystrophy community and disability community as well. So I would like to start with sleep and recovery. The reason why I start with sleep and recovery is because I believe these are probably the most important components in feeling fit. Getting a good night's rest is so important, not just for the Jane Pop outside, but especially for us, because our bodies are under constant issues, pressure that we experience as well with the constant atrophy. These are things that really tie us down, that weigh us down. So the question now starts to become, how can we increase the number of good night's sleep that we get with minimizing all the other concurrent issues that may be hindering our sleep? So good sleep hygiene is of utmost importance to me. There's many other tricks that you can also kind of research within the FSHD Society website and on their YouTube pages, where obviously limiting your screen time is very important, but I'm now going to speak about the actual things that we can actually do to help our biomechanics in order to fall asleep a lot better. So this will address the lower back pain, the shoulder and scapular positioning issues while we are in that sleeping position, whether we still want to sleep on our backs or on our sides, and the neck issues as well. So these are the problems and the needs that I saw and needed to be addressed within the FSH community, because I received emails, DMs that when FSHD members try to sleep or rest, they get really a stark amount of back pain, which can be an issue because now it takes you a longer time to fall asleep. So the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate this as well. I'll be using my boxing bag though, so I kind of took it off. It's just something that I use to keep fit as well. Really helps with the scapular as well. So useful tips to improve sleeping posture. We can view this in helping us to elevate our knees into easing the pressure of the hip flexors, because the hyperlordosis could be caused by a tight hip flexors. So once we put two maybe cushions, pillows underneath our knees, we bend them above our hips, that really eases the muscles within the lower back. It lengthens them as well. The hip flexors, the pressure is taken off of there. And what we find is our spine is now being promoted into a lot more neutral of a posture positioning as we are lying down on our backs. So just a simple trick like that, adding two well-stuffed pillows underneath your knees elevates them as well. That can really help a lot. So if I can demonstrate this, I'm going to demonstrate only one of them. I've also got a side sleeping demonstration here, but I'm only going to demonstrate the how to essentially put the two pillows using the boxing bag here. I'm going to try and if I can just put myself all the way here, hopefully you can see me. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of lower now. Excuse me, yeah. TV magic, it's all live. I think that should be fine. Take myself a bit more back. So we can kind of imagine this to be our two well-stuffed pillows as well. Kind of let me go back a bit. There we go. So I've got my yoga mat here, and as we are seated down, we're laying down in our bed, we want to put the two pillows right under our knees. This may be a bit too high, it's very comfortable, but it does kind of give us a good idea of the of where we kind of want to be. So as you can see here with my hip flexors, the tension is taken off as well. With my lower back, the muscles are lengthened as well. And it really just feels really a bit comfortable because there's no pressure within your lower back here. So it's going to be a lot more better as well when you've got backrest as to kind of seated against your headrest on the bed. I think it's very nice. Can help you relax a lot. Okay. And we're going back. Kind of rushing through here. Please will forgive me. I do have a slight stutter, particularly when I'm nervous. And okay, you should be seeing me better here. Are you guys still receiving me well? You're not cutting in between.
It's all good.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. And here I speak about healthful recovery and sleeping aids too. I go a bit more in depth with that. And I also seen on certain forums that a few FSH members actually prefer to sleep on recliners or lazy boys, as I call them. These are very comfortable, again, because there's a reason why. It supports your cervical spine, it supports your neck, supports your head, supports your back, and also it raises your knees above your hips as well, taking the tension off of that lower back, lengthening it and making you feel very comfortable as well, promoting that neutral spine that we want to get. Going on to exercises for early detection of FSHD signs. Again, early detection. From our point of view, this is not a diagnosis. This is not from a diagnostic point of view. So when these are exercises now, when I'm thinking in my point of view, it's certain exercises that I did as well when I started with my FSHD journey. So I was diagnosed via a biopsy when I was 16, 17. So I'm 27 right now. That is, yeah, about 11 years since my diagnosis. Now, I do realize that my case of FSHD is in the milder sense, but I do keep in mind whenever I am speaking to the FSHD community, really wanting to get to know other forms of NMD as well. I just want to know, how can we prepare for the next 5 years? Because our situations can really change on the fly. So all these exercises are addressing from early stages and to the advanced stages. This is one that I believe probably all members within the FSHD community can try. So we are seated for this one. And if I just want to make sure I'm nice and straight there. Okay, I think that's a lot better. Okay, so for this one, we will be doing movements of the scapula, really looking at the scapular health, ensuring that we stimulate the serratus anterior, which we do know is responsible for keeping the shoulder blades nice and tight against the rib cage. So this is very important in order to address that scapular health very earlier on. And I was doing these exercises without even knowing it. So when I got to my biokineticist, this is one of them that he just tweaked in order to kind of to address exactly what I needed to be what needed to be done. So this exercise will be addressing the scapular health, can be performed seated. It doesn't require any apparatus, just mindful practice and patience. The main goal here is to improve scapular health through movements of retraction and depression. So movements of retraction, almost we are opening up our chest, and depression. So the way I can kind of think of it is pushing our elbows straight through the floor while we are seated down. So while seated in an upright position, you can even use the backrest here as support. Open up your chest by bringing your shoulders back. So we kind of want to get this nice broad posture right here. Retract your scapula by bringing them together. So we're going to retract. So the retraction is bringing the scapula together. So you can kind of envision this. Scapulas are like this. We're now kind of bringing them together, just like so. Okay, while maintaining this positioning, depress your scapula, pushing them through the floor. If we retracted them, now we kind of want to bring our elbows all the way to the floor while maintaining that retracted scapula. Now you should already feel the serratus anterior there. You should feel your lats also working just a bit there. You can feel a bit of your side chest. These are muscles that will be stimulated during this movement itself. Try to hold this portion of the movement for about 3 to 5 seconds and rest. We perform this with 3 sets of 10. So we can even try them right now. I think I want to do just 1 set with you guys so that we can kind of get the idea. So maybe not 10 reps, let's go for 8. So again, we are seated down. We want to get that nice broad positioning, open up our chest, and then we do retraction. We retract our scapula, okay? Then we depress. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, and back. Try not to slouch once you reset yourself down, back into the starting position. Then again, retract, keeping them nice together, and then depress. 2, 3. I can tell you the first time I did this exercise, I just felt so much sensation within this area, and I didn't know what this area was. So my biokineticist really kind of taught me a lot about that. That was the serratus anterior itself. And the depression of the scapula really just gave a new sensation. I think we've got 4 more to go. Back, retract. If it's a bit uncomfortable, you don't have to go all the way. You don't have to be using a lot of your power, too much strength. Kind of go at an RPE or a rate of perceived exertion that you can manage itself. Okay, I think about 2 more. Reset. Then we've got 1 more. And hold, let's hold for 5 seconds here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and rest. How did that one feel for anybody by any chance? Yes, I did. Those felt good. All right, that's all right. I like that. So I think this is a movement that we can all try while we're even seated watching the game, maybe watching football. Football is very different from my end, so football is actually soccer. So maybe you're watching NFL over that side. Now we are going to an exercise for early detection. This is the second one as well. Now this one will address the overhead mobility. This is an issue that I also would like to, just thinking from my point of view when I was 16 years of age, overhead mobility is something that was very important as well, so that I can never lose within this range of motion. FSHD obviously does affect the shoulder girdle, does affect muscles of the rotator cuff. And so these are issues that are experienced pretty earlier on. However, that doesn't mean that we cannot try to move within these ranges of motion. Yes, our range may be limited, but we can at least keep it relatively healthy as well. So again, bear with me as I try to move into a better position. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go a bit low for this one because I'll be on the floor, really on the floor, yeah. This is called a seated scapular wall slide. Get. Here we go. Try not to be a bit too far so you can hear me. Okay. So here, you can probably try this after the video we have ended. We want to get ourselves onto a nice smooth wall surface as well. And as we're seated down, we try to get our back as close to the wall as we possibly can, kind of limiting any of the arch or lordosis or within the back within your back and the wall itself. So we want to get that really nice and snug to the wall as much as we can. Now, obviously, there will be a bit of a gap, but we don't really pay it no mind as long as we are nice and snug to the wall. Next, we're going to address the scapula through movements of scapular overhead elevation or upward rotation as well. So here, you kind of want to be in this position, and if this is uncomfortable, again, you kind of go to what we spoke about. You can put something underneath your knees, a pillow, to kind of get you a lot more comfortable into that nice and tight your posture against the back. So we can go like this, and then we put arms right up against the wall. This is quite a difficult just stance to do. A lot of members may not have the mobility to do it. You may hurt the rotator cuff itself, but you do not necessarily have to keep your forearms and the back of your hand right against the wall. If you can just get the back of your hand without the forearms, that is great. So we want to keep within this position, the starting position, and we just move right up. If this is all you can get, that is great. Reset back down, try to slide as far down as you can, while also maintaining touch or contact with the wall, and reset again. This is a difficult movement that may be, but it's one that I really would wish for those who are experiencing early symptoms of FSHD to try out, because it also addresses the serratus anterior whenever you are doing shoulder elevation or scapular upward rotation as well. Then we go down and reset. I think I'm going to do 3 more sets of these. Back on my arm, touching the wall, moving up. If you can only do maybe one hand at a time, let's say do one hand, do the left hand, then we go down, or do the right hand, then we take it down. That's fine too. Whatever works for you. Then put it down, back. If you can go further, that is awesome. I kind of block out here and pull them back down as far back as I can and reset. You're going to feel also your rear delt working a lot here. So that's really going to help to pull your shoulders back, really improve your posture as well. Just by doing this, so much of my posterior chain is firing. Okay, let's get back up. Okay, go. We'll be asking a few questions. And I think actually I'm not going to do the third one, which is the seated hamstring curl, just for time constraints. I kind of want to keep myself within that 35-minute range. Yes. So the seated hamstring curl is another one as well. But before that one, we also addressed the abdominal strength, because again, these are exercises we just did now to address the scapula and the back, the posterior chain. Now we need to also look at to look at the abs, because with that hyperlordosis, can the last exercise be done standing against the wall? Oh yeah, 100%. The only reason why I said we can do it seated is to kind of appeal to a much larger audience, but 100% you can do it while you're also on your feet. That is great too. So the third exercise was to address the abs, because with the hyperlordosis too, a protruding abdomen is one of the signs that we can see. So to strengthen the abs, also looking at the hip flexors, these are just one of the things that 2 of the factors that are also involved in there. but I will not be doing those exercises. You can see them within the presentation itself. And then the next one was the seated towel hamstring curl, where I'm on a nice flat surface here. It's a wood paneling. So you just put a towel underneath your feet. This is for the lower body, of course. And so you'll be on the edge of your seat, kind of slide the towel away from you, and then you will contract your hamstrings by putting the towel back as well. So that's just one of the exercises as well for the lower body. I really had to kind of choose which ones I kind of want to put in. There was quite a few, but I'm going to send this out, and whoever decides to maybe try out these exercises, I would really love to hear some feedback, because for the next maybe worksheet or the next presentation, I can put in some more as well. Kind of just expanding onto this and seeing how other FSH patients respond to it. So I really appreciate that. Now we are going on for part-time mobility device users. Again, part-time mobility device users can be scooters, wheelchairs. We are going on to that. Now, we want to change now from my interaction with a lot of folks within the disability community that I'm friends with. They really changed the way that I viewed exercise, because they say they have really bad days, particularly in winter, where their muscles are just contracted. They just not feel really good. And they said just getting out of bed was an actual achievement. So how they viewed it was exercise in itself, getting into bed, because they had to really maneuver their bodies into the certain positions, pivot themselves, rock their weight back and forth in order to get right into bed. Yes, I'll make sure that June also sends out the email there. Thank you very, very much. This is also an exercise. Getting into bed and getting out of bed is definitely an exercise, because it can be seen as a compound movement as well, because you're using various muscle groups. You're getting your heart rate up as well, and you're breaking a sweat. So certain types of things that maybe a lot of people can just overlook become exercises. So certain types of tips from part-time mobility users. You can use assistive devices such as maybe a leg lifter, if you've ever used it, to kind of help to swing one of the legs above into the onto the bed itself. And you can even adjust the height of the bed as well. Maybe this will make the process a lot more convenient. So that was just one of the first looks of how we can view exercise. Now, also, standing at the kitchen counter is an exercise. I'll be reading you an extract from one of my good friends living with a congenital spine abnormality. So he sent me this email, and it reads as follows. I feel like the most important exercises of the last 25 years has been washing the dishes every day. When you're living with NMD and getting steadily weaker, it's easy to abandon basic household things entirely. For me, being at the sink for however long it takes every single day has been an important part of keeping up the basic levels of physical movement that are so important to pushing back against the atrophy. I think there are quite a few opportunities within the house to keep moving in a safe and controlled manner, and we should keep an eye out for them. So he was just explaining how over the last 25 years, simple things such as standing at the counter can also be an exercise to wash the dishes. So after days when you're not feeling really good, getting out of bed can be seen as an exercise, can be seen as achievement, and should be seen as an achievement as well. And washing the dishes can be seen as also be helping out, maybe also being independent in your own way. So these are all forms of exercises that we can view. And now also the last one, standing up from a chair is also an exercise. Again, as I said, many FSH members that I have spoken to have got incredible, they have developed their own ways, their own unique maneuvers in order to get within the seated positioning and to get out of the chair as well. So these are just certain looks of how we can view exercise, because sometimes we get busy. Maybe we haven't been to maybe we haven't been to our physio for 2 days. Maybe we haven't been able to conduct our own exercises. Maybe you can do certain types of sets and reps of getting up out of your chair. Maybe you do 3 sets of those as well, just to kind of flip the perspective on it. That is kind of where I'll be ending it. I wonder if maybe there may be any questions by any chance. I did hear Daniel would like for the email. June will be sending that out. So if you are within the FSHD email list, I'm sure you're also going to receive the presentation. And is there any other question by any chance? All right. So that was my session. Really kind of like to keep it brief. Thank you so much for listening in. I really like doing these. I really like compiling exercises, compiling these the presentations just to hand out as well. And I'd like to keep it going. The feedback is very great as well. I got a lot of help with these exercises. I got a lot of help from the FSHD Society. And yeah, I even actually went to one of the biggest radio stations a few weeks back to actually speak about the FSHD Society and compiling this fitness regimen or rehabilitation management program for those living with various neuromuscular issues. So it's really great that it's getting traction. And yeah, it was great.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did I see Rick or Daniel? Did you raise your hand? Yes, Daniel raised his hand.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
Rick.
We spend so much time on Zoom these days. Makes sense to find some exercises we can do while we're on Zoom.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's why a lot of these can also be performed while you're seated down too. So yeah, these are things that we can just know. Maybe you'll even find yourself doing the mindless now. That okay, it's really kind of ingrained within you. So yeah.
Rick, you had a question or comment?
Dog. So Lonwabo, you mentioned this was great for the sleep and having the pillows under your knees to correct the position of the back. You also mentioned there might be something for the neck.
Oh yes. So for the neck, I did mention cervical pillows and a wedge pillow. A wedge pillow, which also supports your head as well. So I'm not certain if I'm sure you may be aware of wedge pillows. They are these pillows which are made in an ergonomic manner. So to support not only just your head but your neck too, where they have a nice kind of built-in cushioning. So it's almost like I want to explain it when you're sitting on a plane. I mean, I've never flown, for instance. So, but I see certain people when they go on planes. My sister's flown so many times. I'm pretty scared. I'm probably gonna fly when I'm 30 years of age. But you kind of have a neck pillow or a cervical pillow to support your head, so that when you are sleeping as well, your head doesn't just kind of hang over the pillow itself. Another great neat trick as well that we can do while we've got the 2 pillows underneath our knees. Those ones will be nice and thick and stuffed, but the ones for our heads will not be as puffy, because we do not also want to get our head into an overextended the other side as well. So putting it underneath your neck as well can really help. But the wedge pillow, just for recovery, while you're also seated down with your legs up, is a really great one. So I did add an illustration of it within the presentation itself, and you will kind of see how that one works.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Rick, do you still have your old hand or a new hand up? One, just I'll put it out there for discussion, but I am one of these people who for years thought I would exercise because you find these, right, YouTubes, or you find all kinds of guides, right, for exercising. But I would never do it, even though I can do it at home and there's nothing standing between me and doing the exercise. So then I finally started going to fitness trainer who I happen to really like, and we're now really good friends. That social element of, I don't know what it is. I'm doing it with someone and I'm also accountable, like I've got to show up and do it, is seems to be the only way that I can make myself exercise. So I'm wondering if other people run into that problem, and whether through this Zoom community or some way we could use this community to provide that social, you know, interaction and accountability to help us all, get to where we want to be in terms of our exercise routines. Just a thought, I'm putting it out there.
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, there's a reason why most gyms have got classes, whether it's a spinning class, whether it's Taebo or aerobics. I think that community aspects, as human beings, we are very social beings. So just being around, seeing other people as well. Maybe you see somebody a lot older than you and they are just really upping the ante, and you're like, wow, let me actually kind of catch up to them. So it's just a really great way to also do exercises, 100%.
Well, this is a platform that is social for the exercise, so it's good to come here. That it's a nice new thing that was added, within the past few months, right? The feeling.
Well, this has been running for about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
It's
great.
And it's only every other week, because to have a formal program, I mean, it's a lot of work, as you know, to set up. I'm just wondering if can we go from this to a more frequent, like an even something daily that meets and is kind of self-organizing, like the group itself, kind of. I'm not sure how, to make it sustainable, but it's just a thought. If a number of you feel that would be really would enjoy, and that would help you keep up an exercise routine that you want to be, involved with. Just
Nice idea.
It's a nice idea, but everybody has such varied symptoms. I don't know how we could get exercise program that would work for everybody.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to be able to, have adaptations, like if you can do this, but if you can only do it like this far, that's okay too, or do it sitting down, or if you can do it, so you'd have to, and, be aware of these adaptations, and everybody can monitor themselves, but just having someone talk you through, or just saying, okay, next we're going to work on this or that, might be helpful. I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this today, and I think I understand. I agree with your assessment that having people to do it with certainly helps. Encourage you to do it. And like I mentioned earlier, I walk every morning. My wife walks every morning. She loses me. We start together, and in about a quarter mile, she's gone. And I do my 2 miles, and she does her 3.5 or 4 miles. But that start, there's somebody else there pushing me besides just me, encouraging me to keep going, and to stretch first, and to stretch after, to do the work after. So I agree that helps. One other thing I almost hate to say, but technology helps too. I broke down this January and got a Apple Watch that's tracking my activity, tracks my walk, gives me a score you can set goals on the watch, and it's not nearly as nice as social, but it is something reminding you, hey, you need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Well,
you need to get up out of the chair because you've been sitting for 2 hours,
don't forget to get the fall app part of that Apple Watch, because that's really great for a lot of us who have fallen and can't get up. But your Apple Watch can make it so that they call somebody to help. It's I don't have it, but I know it exists, and it's a fall aspect to the Apple Watch.
Well, I found out by accident that it exists. I hadn't fallen, but I must have made some motion with my arm that replicated a fall or something, because all of a sudden I'm seeing a message on my watch that it's about to call 911.
That's good. That may come in handy.
Yeah, so it exists. I'm not sure how.
Danielle, I wanted to comment on yours, that there were so many of us are affected in different ways. I find it fascinating because, one of the tests is, do we have the anterior tibialis working so that we don't have drop foot? There are some people with FSH that can walk on their heels. Others have flat abdomens. Our host today looks in great shape. But the first conference that I went to, I had researched the extremes of FSH, and it seemed they were all there. So I think that's fascinating, but it is true. It becomes very individualized how we exercise. Helen's got her hand up.
June, as you were talking about the social and community accountability, I'm wondering how to, and I thought, well, could people just sort of connect with one or two other people on Facebook, FaceTime or something? But then what about opening up one more Thursday morning as just a drop-in, and people could, instead of having a set speaker or something, somebody to obviously facilitate it, but everybody could come and share something, an exercise or something they do or that's related to exercise. Like I was struck by the example of that fellow, doing dishes and realizing that that was a form of exercise. And I sometimes do things when I'm in the kitchen waiting for the microwave or the kettle to boil or something, and I'll do an exercise. So sharing those kind of, things that we incorporate, or how getting in and out of bed, how do we do that? Where we're at currently, and an exercise that we can share that maybe we think might be something that somebody else would appreciate knowing about. Stretching exercise or daily activity of daily living exercise.
Could certainly try that. I just have to figure out what Zoom channel to run it on, because we have a third Thursdays. We have the FSHD University, but we have multiple channels. I just have to maybe switch it over to a channel where there isn't a competing event.
I forgot about that.
But
might be a different day and time.
Yeah.
Have-
Well, whatever it is, probably should be the same time every week. Otherwise, you forget which week you're in. I would forget which week I'm in.
So I have a trick, like when I microwave something for a minute or two, instead of just standing there doing nothing, I do, like I bend like at the waist down and back up, things like that. So I don't have to have I don't have to plan on it. I just take advantage of it. That 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
To do stuff.
I like that. We could come up with a book of microwave exercises, because it's
right. You can do your arm for a minute. Can't do it any longer. So yeah, it could be interesting to put together some of these
I like that idea.
inventions. I mean, even just turning the head back and forth
Yeah.
and whatnot. A minute is a long time when you're doing that.
Okay, Don, can you move somewhere else?
Yeah. But I'm gonna sign off. It's been good. If
Good to see you.
if you could send out Lawanda's email,
Yes.
that'd be useful. And it's great that those people from India connected with us. I'm amazed with the time difference that they
Yeah.
found us.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye,
Good-
Daniel. Thanks.
Daniel.
Bye.
Okay.
June.
Yes.
It didn't get off.
Oh, I need to lower my hand.
Helen. Oh, okay. That was a hand up.
Although
her
I
hand.
did just think of something else. It's not really exercise connected, but it's good news. I got approval. Well, I've been applying to get a wheelchair, and the seating wheelchair clinic that submitted an application for our insurance, and it got approved last week. So
Fantastic.
yeah, after several months of waiting and everything. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that because of realizing that when I'm outside walking with my walker on anything other than flat surfaces is getting really hard, and I just don't have the I can't go as far anymore. So it will be lovely this summer. I hope that I've got it by this summer, and can go further afield, can go up to the library, can go up to the grocery store, go to a park.
Yeah, that can be very liberating and also save
Yeah.
up the energy you have for when you need it,
Yeah.
at the house.
And I have a group of women that I've known for years and years. We get together periodically, and one of them works out at Butchart Gardens, and she's suggested that we get together sometime this summer out there. And I thought, oh, I hope I've got my wheelchair by then, because Butchart Gardens is not very level. So
That's great news, and I do hope it arrives without too much delay. I hope.
yeah.
All right. Anyone else, or are we good to? All right. Well, we'll wrap up for today then. Lonwabo, I'm so glad you could stay. I'm so glad and grateful to many of you who could stay on for his session. And you're going to send me some material that I can distribute, right, by email to this group. So
Yes,
fantastic.
for sure.
Okay. We will see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lonwabo.
Uh,
Thank you.